Okay. We have people joining the live meeting now.
All right. Thanks, Santosh. Good afternoon, everyone. Please be informed this session is being recorded. And welcome to the Ireland chapter of PMI. And today's webinar is sponsored by Wellington. I'm Yuvraj, and one of the key volunteers in Ireland chapter of PMI, and I'll be your host today. I'm delighted to welcome Baskinda from Wellington. In fact, we have run quite a few popular webinars led by Bas in the topic of Microsoft tools in the past. And today, let's uncover the topic, the NextGen PPM solution for the future PMO powered by Microsoft. So what does this NextGen PPM solution has for all of us, and how will it make a positive impact in our day-to-day work? Let's hear this from our eminent speaker, Bas. And in the meanwhile, if you have any questions, please comment in the chat box and we'll pick it after the presentation from Bas. And now I would like to request Mary, who's one of our key volunteers in PMI Events Management team, to introduce Bas. Hi, Mary, would you like to take this forward?
Definitely. Gives me great pleasure to introduce Bas Kinda, experienced Microsoft project and portfolio management consultant and a director at Wellington and a leading Microsoft PPM Gold partner. He also works closely with Microsoft UK project team as a project solution sales specialist, where he is often tasked with helping organizations address their project portfolio management pains and increase their project management maturity. He has been directly involved in a significant number of implementations across an array of organizations that spanned both private and public sectors, as well as numerous verticals. With his background, Bas is well versed in educating organizations on the benefits they can realize through Microsoft PPM. So Bas, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you ever so much. So if you bear with me, I'm just going to start sharing my screen. And you should be able to see my presentation now. Do shout if you can't. As alluded to by my colleagues, we are taking questions. I will be saving Q&A until the end, but do use the chat window to raise your questions as and when you think of them. But here I am, so talking a bit about Power PPM. And thank you again for everyone that's attended. You'll notice that I've used a much older picture of myself on my opening slide. That's pre-pandemic, by the way. But today I'll be showcasing Power PPM, the next gen PPM solution that's built on the Microsoft platform. And it's really the solution that's available in Office 365, and it's designed to power the future PMO. In future sessions, I'm going to be showcasing Team Planner, the resource planning solution, as well as Time for Teams, the time registration app as well, and of course Power Hub, which enables you to get more detailed insights via Power BI, such as trend analysis. So I just peel back the curtains now, and I'll unveil the agenda. So I'll start off by talking a little bit about Wellington, before then delving into Power PPM to provide more of a deeper insight before moving on to a live demo. And then, of course, we can discuss next steps and move on to Q&A as well. So who are Wellington? Well, we've been around since 2001, so quite a while. We started off very much as a pure project management consulting firm. We now do much more, which will be covered off on the next slide. But we've got offices in Ireland, in Dublin, in the UK, and in Spain as well. And as a company, we've got multiple services that span consultancy, technology, and training, as you can see on that slide. Do go and have a look at the website as well. So wellington.co.uk, where you'll find out much more about what we do, and you'll also be able to access a wide range of case studies. And that brings me onto this screen, which showcases some of the organizations where we have worked in the past 10, 15 or so years to go in and deploy a wide variety of Microsoft technology solutions with, again, a focus very much on the project and work management offerings that Microsoft have. Right. So we're actually going to skip this and we're going to go straight on to talk about Power PPM. So Power PPM is very much a feature-rich solution that provides a lot of out-of-the-box capabilities that include strategic alignment. So if you want to See how your projects align against your strategic goals. You can do that very easily using Power PPM. Power PPM also gives you access to a very robust financials grid where you can capture things like CapEx, OpEx, subcategories of spend as well. It gives you access also to a very advanced browser-based scheduling timeline engine. So this effectively replaces Microsoft Project Desktop, and that's something I'll be showcasing during the demo. The solution also enables you to capture and track your risks. We can also enable the capture of your project life cycles using Microsoft Power Automate. And through Power PPM, you can also then track how projects are progressing through the stage gates that have been defined. And you can also ensure that everyone's working in a consistent, concise way and ticking off all the governance boxes they should be as they progress through the project life cycle. Now, the solution also enables the capture of your Kpi statuses, and I'll be demonstrating this as part of a demo. You can also capture ideas within the tool. You can track your documents, underpinned, I should point out, by SharePoint, but I'll be demonstrating that as part of a demo. It also gives you really good visibility of your programs, your portfolios overall. We also provide reporting via Power BI, but it's all driven by the data that we're capturing within Power PPM, so you'll be seeing that in action as well. And last but not least, projects are there to please stakeholders, and within the tool you can actually define who the stakeholders are and also indicate their level of interest and level of influence within the organization as well. So that was a very high-level overview of what you get within Power PPM. Now, to supplement Power PPM, we do also provide Time for Teams, a time tracking solution, and Team Planner, a resource management tracking solution. Not that I'm covering those two elements today. They will be covered in a future session, but they are also available to further boost the capability that you get within Power PPM. We've also got Power Hub, which is a solution that basically collates all your data into one place, snapshots it as well, making it possible for you to then go in and perform things like trend analysis. And despite the fact that we've got access to reporting via Power BI, there are a large number of people that still prefer to get reports via PowerPoint slide decks. So Presented basically automates the creation of these PowerPoint slide decks. So that is something that, again, I'm not going to be showcasing today, but if you are interested, get in touch using my contact details that are coming up, and I can take you through it. Here I'm just reinforcing the fact that this is all available via Microsoft 365. The look and feel is very much like Dynamics 365. It sits on the same platform, actually, and that is the Microsoft Power Platform. Whereas Team Planner, Time for Teams, Power Hub, they are hosted in Microsoft Azure. So again, despite being a third-party solution, this is all hosted within your own Office 365 environment. That's a key point. So that now brings me on to then the live demo. And yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my slide deck. I'm going to stop sharing my camera momentarily as well, because I'm going to get very up close and personal to my screen in order to run the demo. I'm sure you don't want to see me that up close. So here we are. This is the Power PPM demo environment, and I'll take you through and give you a good feel for what you can get from the solution as standard out of the box. Do appreciate that this is a generic demo. It can be customized and extended further to suit your specific processes. So this is not the be all and end all. It can be configured to suit your specific requirements. I'm just going to minimize a few other things on my screen. Okay. So here we are on the home page, and of course this can all be branded to suit your organization's branding. On the home page, I see a variety of items, but I'll start here with the tiles. So if you want to go in and view your initiatives, you can. So these are your projects. You can also get portfolio oversight. You can go in and view all of the ideas that are originating from the organization, or project requests that are maybe being submitted. You can also view programs, your risks. You can also go in and check things like your strategic drivers that have been established, your OKRs, your objectives and key results, and see how they are performing against the project portfolio that we've defined. And of course, you can go in and access your reporting. Much of this is replicated through the menu on the left-hand side, which I'm not going to step through in detail. One thing that I will say is that once you've seen this static menu once or twice, you might want to replace it with a live portfolio dashboard that gives you a quick snapshot as to how your portfolio is performing. So again, that kind of thing we can also do as well. Minimize the menu there on the left-hand side. And again, to reinforce the point that I made earlier, this does sit inside of Office 365, where you can also go in, access all of the other solutions that you've got access to. For now, minimize that waffle, and I'll go into my active initiatives. So in the environment that I'm using today, I do only have this standard view set up. I can't, sorry, no, to be corrected, I have got one or two other defined system views, and through these system views you can then determine which columns you're going to display and how you're going to visualize the data. But something that you can do beyond what I'm showing you today is to apply grouping and further filtering. So that's something you can also do. You might want to view your projects, but group them by team, by departments, by customer, by location. And again, there's no limit to how many views you go in and create. So what I'll do for now is jump in to an existing project. So this one here, the USS Defiant Ablative Armor upgrade, and that loads up my plan. And here on the left-hand side, we can see the project title. On the right-hand side, we can see various project details, and we can expand this out further. So if you wanted to see more details against that, that's not a problem. Below that, we also see this workflow that the project is going to be stepping through. So within the environment, we can very easily define different workflows for different project types. So you might want to define small, medium, and large projects, whereby they maybe have very light workflow, very complex workflow. Or on a departmental basis, you might say that in IT, we are running hardware refresh projects. They could be decommissioning projects. Any project type you can imagine, we can establish templates. And against each one of these templates, we can define a workflow that the person has to step through. And what's really nice about these workflows is that each one of these stage gates is interactive. So if I click down, you will notice that we've got the ability to go in, add interactive elements. In this example, it's very simple. We're literally capturing dates, but typically for a customer, we would be asking questions like, have you baselined your plan? Have you allocated your resources? Have you had sign off for this? So any governance items you want to drop in and ensure that people are doing before requesting permission to move on to the next phase of the project lifecycle, again, we can build that in really easily. Below the workflow, we also see then a variety of pages that we've got access to. So we've got the details page, timeline, financials. We can also go in and request resources, which links in, I should point out, to Team Planner, which I'm not showcasing today. But we can, of course, track our risks. There's also an option, by the way, to track issues, actions, decisions, change requests. So again, this can be expanded out further. And I guess the rest of the items are pretty much self-explanatory, and I will step through some of these as I progress through the demo. But on the details page, you'll notice that we've got various elements on this page. So there's one where I'm capturing basic details about the project. And here we've defined the status of the initiative itself. We've also put in a bit of a description. By the way, Latin is entirely optional. Typically it's English, but we can also define who the sponsor is, and we can even link this to an originating idea. So you can see the golden thread from idea to project all the way through the organization. Below that, we've also got the scheduling window, whereby I can see a high-level start date, finish date, and I can also see which schedule templates being applied. And of course, I can go in and apply different templates. We also have a bit of a roll-up there of the financials. We also see some status summary information being presented. And of course, this is interactive. So at the moment, overall, I cannot set manually. That is driven very much by these individual KPIs that we have displayed on the same page. And if I was to go in, indicate something's amber, it goes amber. If I indicate that something is red, it automatically defaults to red. But we can play with the formulas and set this up to suit. And of course, we can also go in and define different KPIs. If you want to report against different KPIs, that's not a problem at all. We've also got a business link section there. So within business link, we can associate this project against a portfolio. We can also link it to a program, and we can also link it to a strategic driver which is what we are seeing there. You're seeing some of the collaborative elements coming to the surface here, whereby we've got the ability to go in and create a team. We can also link this to a Teams channel, and we can also link this to an existing SharePoint site, which is where the documentation might be saved, for example. And I'll be showing you some integration with the SharePoint site shortly through the document tab that we have visible there. I'm going to jump over now, though, to the timeline. So this effectively replaces Microsoft Project. In fact, if you wanted, we could even set up two-way integration with Microsoft Project Desktop, which many of you power users of Microsoft Project might want to do. But some organizations look at this and say, well, actually, we could just use this because it's almost as powerful and it gives you the core capability that you would want to use. Now, I'm not going to talk through all of this in excruciating detail because there's a lot of capability there. But what we've done here is effectively built out our plan, and this could, by the way, be templated up as well. But this is my plan. I can see all of the individual tasks being displayed. I've displayed the columns that I also want to surface there. And besides this, I've also got my Gantt chart being displayed there on the left-hand side. The Gantt chart itself is interactive. So if I want to extend things out, I can do that very easily just by clicking and dragging. I can also reschedule them as well. But I can also go in and create links. So these could be finish to start links, finish to finish, start to start. We can do all of it. We can also go in and put in things like lag. Now, besides this, we've also got the ability to filter the columns. We can also go in and hide the Gantt chart if you want to expand out your table view, but we can also view baselines, critical path. There's a lot of options. And of course, I could collapse it all to make it a bit easier to digest the information as appropriate. And beyond this, we can also choose to view things in different levels of granularity. Could be annually, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. And we can even go in and further configure the Gantt view itself. So you'll notice that we've got a variety of options available there. Now, I've looked at this purely at the project level, but sometimes you've got projects that are rolled up into programs. And again, this solution supports that as well. So I'll go into my toolbox program. And rather than looking at the individual tabs there, which I can go into actually, this would show me roll views of all of the information across all of the sub-projects that belong to this program. For now, I'll go into the timeline. And the reason I'm doing this is because this gives you a live view of all of the sub-projects. So there's the overall program view, start and finish date. I can see that information. But beneath it, I can see that I've got various projects nested, as you can see there. Now, what I can do from this view is actually go in and create some very high-level links to say that this project finishes, the next one starts, but I could also expand them out and create more detailed links between the projects or the individual tasks within them. So I could say that when this closure point hits, that's when initiate starts on the next project, or it could be linked to any one of the other elements that we see visible on that plan. I'll go back to my individual project view for now, and I'll minimize that view there. We also have a complex financials grid. I'm going to let that load up. In fact, I'll go to the previous FY because I've got some data within that particular view, and I can again make this full screen. Now, one of the things that I can do here is go in and create different cost plan versions. I'm going to keep it really simple, stick to what I've got visible on the screen at the moment. And you'll notice that we've got the ability there to go in and view breakdown financially by CapEx, by OpEx, but we can also go in, see subcategories. I could also add in further attributes or rename these elements and add commentary as appropriate. But I can choose to add or onboard cost monthly, quarterly, or annually. But hopefully that's self-explanatory. And the great thing about all of the data sitting here within the Power PPM solution is that it becomes much easier to report and roll out. So if you imagine you're doing this using a variety of spreadsheets, trying to then consolidate all of that information and report it out becomes very, very difficult. Whereas here, it's much easier to do because, again, all the data has been captured in the underlying Microsoft platform, which is the Dataverse, not to get too technical, but that's where all the data is stored, is in the Dataverse. And as a result, it becomes very easy to report that out. Resource requests, in fact, I'm not going to cover that today, so I'm going to skip over, go straight into the risk log. And this is showing me a collection of risks. In fact, I've only got 3 that I've onboarded into the environment. And to show you how the information is onboarded in the first place, I'll go into edit an existing risk. So I've populated some high-level details there against it. I've also populated some information around the description, the mitigation. We can, of course, expand this out. You might also want to collate different information. So if you wanted to collect further data, you might want to look at things like residual risk score. You might want more of a description, or you might also want to be able to go in and assign actions to people. So again, this can be expanded out to enable you to do all of that. But that was a very quick look at the risk drill down. And of course, we can also then roll it up and view the risks on this risk matrix, as you can see there. This is, of course, interactive as well. And if I click into any one of these segments, let's discard the changes, you'll notice that it also acts as a filter. And of course, I've got very little data in the environment today, so it's not really coming to life, but you get the idea of how that works. And in a similar vein to that, we also have a stakeholder log. So the stakeholder log is displaying a list of all the stakeholders on this roll-up view at the top. But if I scroll down to the bottom, we can also see the stakeholder register. This is where I've actually added stakeholders in the first place, and I've indicated stakeholder type as internal, external, the level of influence that they have in the organization potentially, and the level of interest that they hold within this specific initiative. And of course, you might then use this to drive things like your communication plans. So it's up to you what you use the data for, but here at least you can collate and view in one place all of the stakeholders that are interested in your project. We also have a KPI status view. So this is where we can go in and add new status reports. So I can go in, specify the status report date. I can put in the status category. It could be a gate decision, just a standard bi-weekly status update, or anything else that you want to put in. And here we're capturing some commentary, and of course we can go in and specify how things are progressing, and that's that. Discard the changes there. I can also go into my status report. This has really shown me a bit of a roll-up view of all of the status reports that have been submitted. This would normally pull out information from the Present It solution, which again, I'm not demonstrating today, so it's not populated here. I'm going to jump over now to document management, and the document management that we have within this environment is all underpinned by the companion Microsoft solution SharePoint, and many of you might already be using SharePoint. So when we deploy this, we can either look at your existing libraries or set up a brand new site collection with maybe a bit more governance and rigor around it and a bit more structure. But importantly, this is all integrated with SharePoint as well. On a project by project basis, we also have some inbuilt charts. These are Power Apps charts. So these are also interactive. So I'm looking at active assignments here as an example. I might want to go down and drill down into the data, and I can do so. Let's look at all the complete information, and let's view that as a pie chart. And again, the data that I'm using at the moment is probably not lending itself very well to this visualization, but at least you can see that actually you have got the ability to go in and drill down into this information. Let's see if I can look at owner and bring that to life. Well, there's only one user on board, and that's the generic user that we are using there. But hopefully that gives you an idea of reporting directly within Power PPM itself. Don't forget that you can continue to ask questions using Teams chat. So if you've got any questions, please do go and type them in. I will be looking at Q&A a bit later. So again, do continue to onboard your questions. Very quickly, I'm going to go in and look at Microsoft Teams, and I'm going to keep this really simple, but generally speaking, when we go out and roll this solution out to various organizations, what they would tend to do is create a team per program or per project. And within that, you can then go in and add as many channels as you want. And in this example, only to illustrate that you can do this, I've actually added the entire Power PPM application within Teams. And many of the colleagues that I have, they don't even really go outside of Teams these days because everything that they want to access is accessible within Teams, and it's fully interactive as you would expect. If I minimize this, I'm going to very quickly, cheekily demonstrate time for Teams. So again, I'm not showcasing this today really, but all of the solutions that I've talked about, including time for Teams, they are accessible via this view. And this is the timesheeting solution. I'm just going to go and see if I've got any data in place, and I have. And you can see that I've onboarded some of my projects and enabled people to go in and report time against their assigned tasks, as well as to be able to add some commentary. So timesheeting, again, something that is also provided through this application. In fact, not through this application, not through Power PPM, but through the companion solution Time for Teams. And that's that. For now, I'm going to jump over to my Power BI reporting suite. These are only example reports. We can pretty much create any report you can dream up as long as we're capturing the data. This is information that we can then report against. And you're not restricted to data only from Power PPM. Imagine you're using a different finance system, could be Microsoft Dynamics, could be SAP, Oracle, anything. But you might have a multitude of other solutions that you want to view the data from in conjunction with the project data from Power PPM. So we can basically marry the data together and give the report consumers a single view of all of the information in one place. We can stitch it together really, really easily. So this report here is only looking at strategic alignment. So what are the drivers and how are we doing in terms of the priorities that we've defined versus the proposed spend for these projects. So here, for example, we want to create a better workplace. So that's how important it is. And this is the amount of spend that we've got going against it. So you could argue there's a bit of an imbalance there. In the ideal world, you want things to be nicely balanced. So something's, X amount important, and you've got an equal amount of spend against it. And of course, you can drill down into all of this information as well. And in fact, these graphs do also act as filters. So I've clicked into the Better Workplace filter there. Now I want to see all the projects that are driving it, and I see a breakdown of those projects being displayed. And of course, we have filters at the top, which are again configurable. If I go ahead, I've now got a portfolio dashboard view being displayed, and I can choose to go in, view all projects by stage. I might be interested in projects that are in the discovery phase. So let's click onto that. And again, the report whittles down and produces that filtered view. We also have a financial reports. Timeline report showing you when things are starting, when they are completing, percentage complete. It's all displayed, that information. And I'll continue, and this shows me a list of ideas that are being submitted. And we can see how they stack up in terms of ideas versus themes, in terms of strategic alignment. Are we hitting the right points or not? And you can see that we're not maybe going as far as we could do to ensure that initiatives are aligned to some of the goals we've established. The final report I'll show you is this one. It's timesheet insights. So where is the time being spent? And I should again point out that this information is coming from the solutions that I've demonstrated so far. It's only an example of what we can produce. We have lots of flexibility really when it comes to reporting, which I alluded to earlier. And all of the reporting, by the way, is underpinned by Microsoft Power BI, which is a enterprise-wide reporting solution that many organizations are starting to adopt. So that concludes the live demo. Let's talk about next steps before we move on to Q&A. So in terms of next step, if you wanted a wider demonstration of what I've been talking about so far, and maybe you want to see a deep dive of Power PPM, maybe you want to look at Time for Teams or even Team Planner, maybe you even want to take a look at Microsoft Project for the Web, the native Microsoft offering. So no matter what you want to look at, all you need to do is get in touch using the details that are coming up shortly, and I'd be more than happy to take you through anything that you want to see in greater detail. Now, if you are very serious about moving to the next steps and understanding what a implementation within your organization might look like, we can also provide you with some envisioning workshops. So these are typically half a day. So within these, we would include a bit of a demo. We'd also like to have a bit of a discussion around your current situation, your current solution landscape, your level of maturity, And based upon all of that and your priorities, we can provide you with a implementation roadmap that indicates how we would recommend approaching the implementation of whichever solution you're looking to adopt. And to coincide with that, we can also provide you with a tailored proposal showing you the amount of effort that's required and the associated cost. And for anything else, if you'd like to understand any of our services in greater detail, all you need to do is get in touch using these details. So that's my email address, baz.kinder@wellington.co.uk. So do reach out to me via email. Do also connect with me on LinkedIn. You can do a very quick search, or if you are maybe sitting there with your device in hand, so your iPhones, your Android devices, open up the LinkedIn app and go in and scan that QR code. That'll take you directly to my profile. And whilst you're on LinkedIn, do also give Wellington a follow. We share lots of content there, and also on our YouTube channel, which is available at youtube.com/Wellington PPM. So we have got Q&A coming up now, and I'm keen to understand what kinds of questions you've been asking. So if you bear with me, I'm going to go in, open up the chat window if I can. In fact, let me stop sharing my screen for a second, open up my camera again, and I'll go into the chat window to see the questions that are coming in. Quite a long list. So I'm going to read these. Do the projects have to be created in Microsoft Project, or can you have an API to interface with another project application? So Jackie, your projects could originate directly within Power PPM itself. If you wanted to set up integration with Microsoft Project Desktop, that's also possible as well. But we've got some customers that maybe want to bring in some project data from Azure DevOps, from Jira. And again, there are a multitude of options available around that, so you're not restricted. Can it integrate with Jira? Yes, it can. I've just talked about it in brief. So we can do some level of direct integration in Power Apps. That would require a premium connector, which is a bit more involved. But really what we'd want to understand is what type of integration are you looking for? What's the objective of that integration? Because we might be able to do some soft integration via Power BI, because if all you want to see is the data in one place, Power BI is generally an easier way to do it. It's a lot cheaper and it's a lot simpler to do it that way as well. To what extent, if any, does Power PPM coexist or integrate with Project Online? So Power PPM, we generally recommend as a successor in many ways to Project Online. So to explain the Project Online situation, it's a solution directly from Microsoft. It's been available since 2013. Approximately 3 years ago, Microsoft announced that that solution itself was going to be not developed any further. Microsoft themselves replaced it with Microsoft Project for the Web. So Project for the Web looks very similar to what I've presented today. And depending on the level of complexity of your plans, Project for the Web could be a really good fit. What I've demonstrated today is Power PPM, which is designed for organizations that have got very large plans with lots of cross-project dependencies in place. As an example use case, where Project for the Web would be too light, Power PPM would be a better fit. But like I said, Project Online, Tom, again, it might be worth having an offline conversation. There's no direct integration as such between Power PPM and Project Online. Many of our customers are starting to explore migration from Project Online to either Project for the Web or potentially to Power PPM, depending on what their requirements are. We've got another question here about the project phases and the workflows. Are they customizable? Absolutely. They can be fully customized and aligned to the PMP or any other methodology as well. So that's all doable. And by the way, the workflows and the business processes are created via Microsoft Power Automate, and that's really, really powerful. What kind of the database or application can be linked over here? SQL, I'd probably want to better understand your question, but all of the data that I demonstrated today for the most part sits inside of a Dataverse. You're talking about other tools like Asta Power Project, Primavera P6. Again, we probably need to flesh out what you're currently using, what the use cases are, and there might even be an argument to say, okay, maybe you're using lots of different solutions with lots of overlap. maybe there's an opportunity to consolidate and bring it all under one application. So that's something we would have to discuss further. Jenny, can the tool measure delay against baselines at a portfolio level? Yes, it can. Didn't demonstrate today, but we can present that kind of information through reporting. Cynthia, you couldn't see the presentation. Hopefully Cynthia was the only one that couldn't see it, but Jenny, is it possible to upload an existing risk register from Excel? We could enable you to maybe do some kind of mass copy and paste, but generally speaking, once you start using Power PPM, that's where the data would be onboarded directly. But as a one-time kind of migration, yes, we could do something. How does this translate to more agile and other approaches, and also as integration of Azure DevOps? So yes, there is integration of DevOps and Jira that's possible via VM Dataverse and Power Apps connectors. And we can align this to other more agile methodologies as well. But again, it sounds like you're probably using Azure DevOps or Jira in those regards in any ways. So Power PPM would not be a replacement for those pure agile tools, but it can complement them. And whilst development teams might be using agile tools like, the ones we've talked about, Azure DevOps or Jira, PMOs generally want something a bit more traditional, but still want to be able to get oversight, and that's where Power PPM would fit in. How does this compare to project operations? That's a really good question, actually. So project operations is another Microsoft solution. So you've got Project Online, which is the old solution from Microsoft. You've got Project for the Web, which is the new Project Online replacement in many ways from Microsoft, but it's pretty light at this stage. But actually, Project Operations is a variant of Project for the Web, and it's designed for more or less professional services organizations where you might be capturing sales opportunities in Dynamics CRM, Dynamics 365, and once they reach a certain level of percentage and that they're going to become projects, you push them over to Project Operations. I mean, we could be here all day if we try and compare Power PPM to Project Operations. I'd say that you've got an option of either using Project Operations or you can use Power PPM. You might want to factor in things like licensing cost. You might also want to look at how intuitive each of the solutions are. So we can help you to compare and contrast. So get in touch if you don't mind, and we can talk about that further. Can you please give some information on the licensing? Yes, I can. So I'll talk at high level terms. So Power PPM is a single price per year per department or organization. So it doesn't matter if you've got 50 users or 500 users. If they're all using the same environment, it's the same price. So if you are looking for a larger implementation, this proves to be a very, very, very cost-effective solution. I haven't got the euros pricing to hand, so I'll have to refrain from discussing the pricing, but I'll share that with you offline. And again, drop me an email if you want any pricing. You've got my email address and I can share it again at the end, but get in touch and I'll send you a breakdown of licensing. Another question, is it easy to migrate information from OPC? OPC, I don't know what that is, I'm afraid. Could you elaborate on the chat what OPC is? But the question was, could we Oracle? Okay. Potentially, we'd have to look at your Oracle Primavera. In fact, I think you can. So I think when you're using Primavera, it's always dangerous when I'm trying to think and answer questions at the same time. But if I'm not mistaken, I think you can export from Primavera to MPP file format, which is project format, or even to a CSV. But if you can do that, then there would be a way in which we can migrate your data across. There might be other ways as well, actually. Another question coming in, how does the open in project feature work from the top menu? Okay, so I don't have the integration set up on my environment, but if you were to click in open in project, it works in a very similar way to Project Online. So if you click on open in project, you're effectively opening up the plan in a Project Desktop. And generally what we recommend is once you decide that you want to use Project Desktop as the master solution for your scheduling capability, we would typically open up your project in Project Desktop, and that's where you can edit it. And once you're doing that, anything in Power PPM is read-only. but you can then publish your projects back from project desktop back to Power PPM and make the latest information available for people to consume or for people to view in reporting. But it's a pretty seamless way of doing it. But again, if you want to see that in action, get in touch. My colleagues have got better demo environments than the one that I use today, embarrassingly, but we'd be able to demonstrate that capability to you. Any other questions from anyone else? If not, again, I'm going to basically type in my email address to the chat window. So if you've got any questions, just drop me an email to that email address, and I'd be more than happy to answer them. But I think unless we've got any further questions, then I think I'm happy to hand over to Jackie, who I think also wanted to share some information. Is that okay, Jackie?
Yeah, that's fine. That's grand. Thanks a million, Baz.
You're welcome.
Fountain of knowledge. Oh my gosh.
I'll pretend I'm a very good actor, is what I'll say. But no, thank you.
It's like it's coming off the top of your tongue, like just like that. And this, and this, and this, and this.
Practice. Honestly, practice makes perfect. I've been doing it for long enough when I care to remember. But no, Jackie, thank you very much.
Are you an advocate of it?
Sorry?
Are you an advocate of it? Do you think it's the bee's knees?
Oh, of course I do. I'm not going to say it's rubbish. No, it's really, really good. We've got a really, really wide cross section of organisations that use this platform. Other organisations, other Microsoft solutions we provide as well. But now we've had really good success with Power PPM, with Project for the Web and Project Online historically. They're very good, very robust solutions, and we wouldn't be recommending them if we didn't have confidence in them. And the reason that we push forward Power PPM in certain scenarios is because it's built on the Microsoft stack. It's accessible in Microsoft 365. If it was a third-party tool built on a third-party cloud platform and accessible through another cloud, we wouldn't touch it with a barge pole, but it's built by a really well-known entity in the Microsoft project circles. It's an award-winning partner who has a global network of partners, and they've got some really impressive client reference sites, which I'm not sure if I'm allowed to name some of them actually, so I better not before I get the police on the door. But no, we've got some really high-profile organisations using it. So if you were interested and you wanted to speak to a reference site, get in touch. I can take you through a demo. We can show you what an implementation would look like in your organization, and we can introduce you to several reference sites that you can speak to. But no, big advocate of it.
Brilliant. So thank you, Baz. For our members who don't know me, I'm Jackie Fagan. I'm the president of the Ireland chapter of PMI. And just to let you know that the information that Baz imparted, this was being recorded. So it'll be on past events on the PMI website. Mary, are you able just to pull up the award slide there? So I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to tag off at the end of this, just to remind everyone on the call about the national awards, that the closing date, which is happening the end of this week, next Monday is the closing date. Can you manage to share there, Mary?
Yeah, I'm sorry, a little delayed here, sorry.
No problem. So I don't know if any of you have been seeing the social media posts and the various other avenues of marketing, communication, press release, etc. So the awards this year are going to be held in person. They're being sponsored in association with PwC, who we're very grateful for to be with us again this year as a collaboration with us. And we have 6 categories. There's the Project Professional of the Year, the Project Management for Social Good, the Private Sector, the Public Sector, and PMO of the Year. And then there's a special category for the Greatest National Impact, which will be, the award will be selected by a public vote. We've done a lot of work in the background where we have streamlined the application process. So what we have is a simple application process with about 4 or 5 questions. You can apply online, do it online. And the idea is closing date is on Monday, the 26th. There will be a shortlist judging panel who will pick shortlists, and then that will go to a final judging, and then a black tie award ceremony on the 24th of November in the PWB premises on the Keys. So I would really encourage you to either nominate your colleague, your organization, your PMO, or even if you're in voluntary organizations around social good. We're sort of like the unsung heroes of the professional project management world. We talk about nurses being unsung heroes in the health organization, but you know yourselves, a project manager, you've no sooner finished one project than you go on to do the next. So you have very little time to actually celebrate successes. So the idea of these awards is to showcase the good work that we do as project professionals across the country, and just to give a limelight to your colleagues and to your organisation, and hopefully be successful in either shortlisting or winning the awards. So if you have any queries at all, please reach out. But please bear in mind, Monday is the closing date, so I really would encourage you to make a nomination. Any questions on the awards from anybody? Okay, right. I think I'll hand back to you then, Mary, to close up.
Okay, Jackie, thanks. I think I'm having a little bit of a technical issue here with regard to being able to share. So if you don't mind, I'm going to call out the details with regard to the professional development PDU that is available for this event. So as usual, the Irish chapter supports professional development to our members, and there is one technical PDU for attending this webinar. The PDU claim code is C144JXJURA.
So say that again, C144.
C144JXJURA. This will be available in the recording. If you are a member of the Irish chapter of the PMI, we will also register the PDU for you when you attend the live webinar. We will share the recording and slides on the Irish chapter of PMI website.
I've just put the claim code there into the chat. Mary, you might just double check that I put it in correctly.
I'm sorry, I'm having a technical issue here with regard to to all of that. So yeah, I can't see that.
C144JXJURA.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. So if there's no further details, I think we can thank Baz for a wonderful presentation.
I'm looking forward to your award submissions, guys. And Baz, thanks again.
You're welcome. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay.
And thank you again for attending.
Not at all. And Baz, you might even have a project within your organisation that you might like to nominate.
I'll have a good ask around.
Okay. All right, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Mary. Thanks, Baz.